So our theme for today, and across the world and the globe, we're thinking in the concept of cycle. So just think of that idea that around the world right now, people are thinking about the theme of cycle. And so what does cycle mean? Our worlds run on cycles. Our own creativity requires cycles of inputs, productivity, flow states, and reset. Cycles keep things moving. So think about this. Which cycles are you attuned? And which ones are you fighting against? For today, we have a really amazing speaker.
Thank you, Gordo.
Her name is Dinah. Please make some noise for Dinah.
Hi, I'm Dinah Poellnitz, and I'm with guys. I'm Dinah Poellnitz. I am the founding creator and director of Bill Street Country Club. We work in the aerospace at Oceanside, but we have worked all over San Diego. We cure artists, we cancel artists, we advocate for our community through artists and artworks. We educate, and we're just creating a safe space, but not a safe space, because we're creating a space that's not like other institutions that isn't follow the linear rules of institutions. We're trying to break a cycle of racism, classism, sexism, misogyny, hate, and also, you deserve to have more Dinahs in the world. That's just how I think. They want us being a public speaker today. Who's up here? Come on, Mr. Jazz. That's me, Oceanside, Tri-City. My dad was in the military. He changed from Ohio. My mom from Louisiana, and we moved to Oceanside. It's so interesting. I was born in 1976, so it's Capricorn season for me, December 24th. And being in Oceanside was an experience of working class, working poor. The diversity was in the valley. In little spurts of the coast, because there was a red light district back in those days. But I was a cute little girl. My mom would go to church, and this is the beginning of a cycle of me experiencing things that would affect me as an adult. And when I say that, I'm talking about systems that affect me. Like my mom working at Hackville and not getting a raise because she had to train the person who was under supervisor.
No, essentially.
Right? Like my dad in the military. Got out, tried to find a job. So we became renters and moved to rental. So these are cycles that affect me. And I could say, because I loved art so much as a kid, there was no arts racist. There was no museum at the time. There was no galleries. There's no art walk. Put that all into perspective. The first person who ever introduced art to me was my mom's former crackhead friend at a church. She was an architect, and I know was drawing, and she liked that. My mom, she's like, Sally, your daughter likes art. It wasn't a museum, it wasn't a gallery, it wasn't the art walk. It was my mom's friend. So a lot of these cycles happen in spaces that are safe and safe, but community is part of that cycle. And I have a lot to say about cycles, because when it comes to community, sometimes we confuse it with togetherness, but it really is a cycle of care and accountability and advocating for each other. Get my votes. That's my artwork. I have a good argument. Let me say names.
Good.
Some of your family names. That's my artwork. That's called Lullaby. Those are stories of my personal lives. The art has always been a language for me. It's always been a way to share my most intimate thoughts and experiences. It's also a way for me to talk about social issues that impact me personally. And also it's another way for me to reflect on how my personal experience are communal experiences that happen in this cycle of you know, the little isms, right?
True, but cut.
All right. This is when I was trying to be a museum girl. I was trying so hard. It was the most difficult experience I've ever had as a museum girl because, you know, I have all these like experiences and things I was more interested in than the rules of like hierarchy of art history. I love art history. I love it. But at the same time, it's not even about seeing myself in art history. I didn't for the stories I want to share about the racism enough. I didn't care enough about the poverty, unless I was looking at some like Rococo art, which I love because it did talk about the class issues. And also, I didn't understand the class issues within the institution until I started working for one. So again, these cycles just keep on happening, but I just want to be creative. I just want to be creative, I want to make art, I want to look at art. But the same exact cycles my mom and dad dealt with, I was dealing with it and I creativity and be able to be in creative spaces. Yeah, that was me at the museum. I mean, it was cool for a minute. Like, it was nice when the board members were telling me no. Because I would just find another way. I mean, if you really, I really just talk about these cycles is like how I respond to them, right? Illustrate exists because I responded to bad cycle experience. That's all it is. Like, we didn't have an education department. A museum without an education department. And then my mentor had a little room in a closet downstairs, and she's like, we're going to get an education department. And we did. But we had to deal with so much pushback because they thought, like, who was education? Like, why would the museum do that? Like, that's how even though there were these grants as a charter grant for every fifth grader visiting the museum. So that was weird to me. And that's where, like, I discovered that a lot of fifth graders in Oceanside had never been to a museum, didn't like pack of crayons, didn't know what artists do. Because, again, those cycles, right? They're not just affecting me, they're also affecting the community, which like reminds me that art is a personal experience, but some of us share those personal experiences in a community. Also, this is where I met my best friend, Kate. This is how I met. Not great. We were both haters at the museum together. But it was so funny. She just came from Denver, Colorado. Her family is generational, like Oceanside racing 20s. Like her great-grandmother is Bustole Oceanside. She is the one of the East Side. She was the first woman to ever buy property in Oceanside in Bustole. And because of her, Bustole has a large Latino community, but not just that. She was known for her Bustole that like bridged out between different communities, kind of because of identification and redlining with the Samoan community, the Black community, the Filipino community. So that's my best friend, and this is why I love it. And also, this is Rocker Locks, which is hilarious. This is where she started. We did pop-ups because we didn't have a place, we didn't have a home. And our first event was a fundraiser for Oceanside Museum was our education department, and they said no to us. So I was like, I'll figure it out. And I just went into every small business in the community and asked if I can have pop-up art shows to fundraise for fifth graders to have actual materials. And this guy was so cool, he was just so ridiculous to me, but he allowed us to take all of our office, all this stuff off the wall, and they would replace it with a solo artist work. We started using spaces that were familiar to the general public, because at the end of the day, a lot of people in Oceanside did not know that we had a museum. You could stand right in front of it, and they're asking you, like, what do you do? Where do you museum? Where is it? I'm like, right here, right here. So the pop-ups were the best way for us to get out to the community. And we did that for about 2 years. You know, we did pop-ups everywhere, you know. We just adapted, move on. It was just part of, you know, we started creating our own science to deal with the system. Okay, so that first gallery space. This is an artist alley. It was so tiny. You would not know that those walls have 5 different textures. and what is it? Some hangers holding lights. And that was the first exhibition space we've ever had. It was an artist alley right down the street from the museum. Had this big vision to like impact the museum and work together. Because I still believe in institutions then, you know, even though they're true athlete, I still believed in institutions because they had a platform. Yeah. But you know, today's R&B former Dinah because I'm not gonna be that girl ever again.
Yes.
I was so nice. I had so many artists from all different generations who did not have access to gallery spaces and museum spaces and did not feel included come out of the woodworks after we opened this space and saying, remember Sandy the City Beat?
Yep.
When they featured us. This space was so beautiful. It was like maybe 700 square feet. And we just had so many volunteers and like events. Because I see a phony from the old labor now, or I see what's up here. Where are you? But we used to have parties. We used to do all the things. Our landlord didn't know what the hell we were doing even. They're like, what do you guys even do? I was like, it's our art gallery space. Like, think about that. Oceanside. This is like 2012, and you have to tell someone what an art gallery is. Like, folks do not understand how privileged you are to live in well-resourced cities. You know, a lot of the cycle that happens in Oceanside is that we have the military, and we have law enforcement, and that's where our money goes. And we don't get the creativity spaces that we need to, like, be safe, right? So we have to focus more on educating our community, actually appreciating art versus, you know, assuming that they were like ready to look at art just for passing the time. So our position has always been to build a new system, to create a new cycle, engagement of activity. I used to paint the floors all the time. It was my way of dealing with white supremacy all the time in meetings, because I used to go to Main Street meetings and city council meetings, and because I would want them to like spend money on arts. And whenever I got mad and there was an issue, I was like, I'm painting the 40 glue. I painted them brown. That was my therapy. And then we upgraded. We went to 530 South Oceanside, but we use our space not just to show art, but to have conversations and about solutions for environmental issues, for police brutality, for inequity, for healthcare. Like, we're artists, we're touring the city. Our city only spends about 10 cents per residence, where San Diego's spending, I think now, $12 per residence. So, like, think about that system, right? That's a cycle that creates poverty over and over again. And it's interesting, last night I went to COC, which is a Community Oversight Committee for insurance funding, which is 1.5% of the sales tax. And it brought in over $120 million for the city of Oceanside, and it's supposed to take care of infrastructure, public safety, homelessness, and well-being. And I got a group of us at the community, about the city council, to take it back to COC to discuss a 1% allocation of the budget for the arts. Well, that happened yesterday, and you would think it was 1954 watching that whole meeting. Like, yeah, what Betty said, the arts seems like it's more gang affiliated. And she wasn't white, she was black. This is that's like a class issue, right? Like, these cycles don't just happen in racism, they happen in class issues too. So let's think about that. And then those other two, when you fist bump each other when they voted it down.
Yes.
These are grown ass men in their 60s, it's bumpy. And then another lady said, why can't they just go to the school and have the arts take care of it? Do you not know? Do you not know what's going on in public schools? Like, do you not know? So again, these cycles keep on repeating themselves, and they're not discriminating against anything. The artist is feeling it too, right?
Go.
So you know, spy up.
But
Oh no. Oh.
I was just create.
And this is cute. But and stay. Yeah, this is our space, the one that we're creating right now. And over the years, with gentrification happening, we've seen a demographic change when it comes to, because it's our space right now. We lost a lot of our artist friends in like bigger cities, right? A lot of folks are working 2 or 4 jobs, just to stay close to the beach. There's more breweries, coffee shops, the typical gentrifiers shit. Shit, she's happy. All right, wait, I'm so sorry. So whining. It's those cycles, right? Like you see the patterns, right? But in the last during the George Floyd, we got involved heavily with protesting and advocating and supporting protesters. But after going back to the so-called lockdown, where everyone was poor, or just poor.
Can you run that back?
And not just that, a lot of us lost their creative spaces. A lot of communities lost their creative spaces and access to them. And also, Hill Street Country Club became a community hub versus the art gallery space. We used to go in listening parties for artists who would have access to sharing their music in their community. We had more pop-up exhibitions for artists who didn't know where to go. That increased. We started working with pro-Palestine groups for markets and mutual aid. Everyone was coming to us because at least wanted to come and to their events and see what they were doing. And we just became this safe space on the coast for all to high voiced. I don't really care what your opinion is about anything, to be honest, because it can't hurt me. And you could be against what I believe in, but folks have a right to have a safe space and to express that. And right now we're living in this cycle where folks are scared of losing their right to speak up and keep spaces. That's happening across the board for a lot of us. And it's not just gentrification, but we're getting silence a lot. The won't get credit doesn't talk too much about that. Or, they won't go to your space because you might talk about that. Or the police might surveil you 500 times because that guy there. I have folks who are former gang members who have degrees now, who've had events, and police know who they are and should patrol the event as if they're going to do something wrong. It's the cycles that continue to haunt us, right? And then it's thinking about community again, the importance of community, the what is togetherness. Are we in community just to it's cool, I like the dance, I'm down for the cause. I love twerking, I love the joy, all, but I want to twerk for a reason. I just want to twerk for a reason. I want to know that I accomplished something, that I want to celebrate our social justice day together more often. And that is the place for my space. That is the place for Hill Street. It's a place for my artists to be hella poor and don't have a master's, can come to our space and be curated for a year. You feel like we were just as important as a student at UCSD or at Yale and have a full-on curated experience with our team. Because that's great SSM. Those institutions are built on the idea of kindness. And if we want to stop that cycle, we have to change our behavior. And our behavior has to be a response to that system. We have to be the alternative always. It's a constant. It's constant. You can't give up. You can't get overwhelmed. I know it's hard and stuff like that. I've been doing it for 14 years. Trust me, it's hard. But it's not even about the reward, because at the end of the day, you're going to have a space, you're going to have a community that's going to have a civil care for you. And when you talk about community, you guys got to think about that. It's this person that's taking from you and never giving back. You don't have a right to ask for people to give back to you.
Yeah,
you have a right for that. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I've always I just give and give and give. It's cool to give and all, but I want something too. You're supposed to help liberate me. Bring community together. This is our cycle. This is what we do. We save each other. We take care of each other. and you show up for each other. So to me, community is a take and get. It's a constant cycle of taking and getting, is sharing of resources. This is one of our community events. Also at the pop bar.
Sorry, spoken.
Oh, Bill, what do you do?
Works.
But it's really interest.
So,
But this is our last show. And I think this is where the conversation should have happened, right? So our building is on the market. It's been on the market for 3 months. And Marisa Luca is Oceanside resident, an activist, a mutual friend, and she has this phenomenal opinions of Oceanside and communities of Oceanside, and all on this, like, we share what she has found and used to paint with these patrons. But we've been having these conversations a lot about circulations. No, serious, like, I love my city, but I see so much like circulations a lot. Because I've been dealing with the lack of resources for people like me. And I'm not saying like I deserve $1 million, but like when I get an art budget, so I just keep my space. Yeah. Like so many artists come to my space, so many community members come to my space. And also we just learned that in the art district of Oceanside, we generated $57 million from the arts. Like my free labor brought $57 million into their budget. And I don't get a 1% allocation. That's all I'm asking for, right? So it's an interesting, like, experiencing it as a community space that's been open for like almost 15 years and not having the choice to buy your building because you've been outpriced because you did all this free labor for 15 years. And then you have grant writers ask you, like, how are you going to make revenue? Like, how do you make revenue when you search people to work the real? Like, so you're asking how to exploit my folks, right? Like, we're not even living in reality. This cycle keeps repeating itself. Like, this model of, like, competition, make money, is all rooted in class and, like, racism and sexism. And then you want me to be the solution, but you also want me to exploit the people I care for. So as a nonprofit, like we're starting to think like, what does that model look like for us? Because every single time we felt affordable in our spaces, like when we did complex for 2 years, I was like, I'm done. It's time to get a space. Like I adapted myself and I figured it out. And then we got the space. And then when the space started flooding and getting on my nerves and we're complaining about our overcrowding, I was like, we gotta get in the space. And then I was offered this bigger space. And now we're at another crossroad where it's like, it's time to get out of the space. And the gut in me is like, everything's on the side. I've always upgraded.
yes.
That's my pattern. That's my cycle. You right? I created that with my community partnerships. I created that by giving and taking with others. Like, I think the reason why I feel so safe is because of the cycle I created for myself and for the people I share love with. So, we're gonna have a funeral for the space. We don't know if it's gonna sell or not. This last show is gonna close when it's purchased and the escrow is closed, but we're gonna have programming just about our memories, about what it means, learn about public policy. We're gonna use Hill Street as that space where we educate each other, we advocate for each other, and we give back to each other in the meantime, right? But at the end of the day, like, I always upgrade when this stuff happens because of the cycle I created myself. Like, there's this resilience I have with the cycle. But it's so important for folks who say they're about community. Community is like the big word that everyone uses around town. And you gotta move this chair when you use that word. You have to understand the cycles that exist. They're real. So when you make creativity, talk to people, you have to think about like systematic things that happen in the world, how you respond to them. Because we're all on this cycle together and responding to it. And I think it's very important for folks to know that about themselves. that you're not free from this. We're all participating in it. And so, and if you are pursuits about community, that is the practice of care. And that care goes in that cycle, and it's a forever repeat. You can't get tired, because at the end of the day, that is what's going to continue to feed your belly and your soul, right? So I could have so much to say. I'm a very direct person, and I eat a lot of shit. So I hate when people say they want to give me community space and they fuck it up. And they don't treat me and send me a chat GPT email. If you're here, I'm not sorry. I'm just not. That was rude. Like, handle me with, I really just want to say, handle me with care.
Yes.
Handle me with care. I care for you. I would never do that to you. Because I understand that at the end of the day, this is always going to be a reciprocal relationship. If we are rooted in the arts, we are neighbors. Like, I'm your neighbor. I take care of you. And I'm going to give you an example. Like, when I first started Gill Street, I was invited by the San Diego Foundation to do a talk about community art spaces. And I think I sat on the panel with Jim Brown from Bread and Salt and another podcaster. I can't remember, I'm so sorry. And they just purchased Bread and Salt. You know, I heard his little, like, I can't wait to hear what he has to say about community spaces and Oceanside. Right? Fast forward. What does class look like now? Who's sustaining? Who has the space? It's not that deep. It really is not that deep. The cycle of racism, sexism, classism affects me, not them. And I've been doing the work for 14 years. Can't say I'm lazy. I've been pulling it with my bootstraps. The only difference is it's ownership. And that's bonus. So like you as an audience, as a visitor, as a patron, where you invest your time and your money, what cycle are you investing in? Which one? Some of us need it, some don't. It's really not, I think we're all adults. I don't have to over-explain those things day one anymore. I think we've talked about that so many times in our lives, right? Like, this is common sense. There's parallels to everything. You should look at the visual analogies of your situation and of the world and decide how you want to change it. And like, what cycles for you are going to start creating to upset that one experience. I'm not a hater. I love that I have this philosophy, more is more. I love more art spaces. Like, there's a lot of art I do not like. Like, I don't like steampunk, but I get it. And I really don't get it, but I get it. Right? Remember we see in the steampunk parties at the museum?
Who's baby?
You know, I get it. I get it. Like, I respect that. Like, I believe more is more, and you have to live in a world where you have more choices to do big things. And part of that is like investing in like alternative spaces, investing in like artists, or being curious about how your safe place the art, how to divide and hide in the arts. You know, those are very important issues. They affect all us creative folks. It just does. And I'm just tired and frustrated. Sometimes I want to quit, and then I might never mind. And then, but right now I'm at a crossroad, and I'm really thinking about like maybe till Country Club is not Wall Street Country Club anymore. Maybe it's something else. Like I even have to like look at my own cycles, so I need to figure out what sustainability looks like for me and my team and like the future, because I'm almost 50. I want to pass the baton. I don't want to be in charge anymore. You know, and for me to not be in charge, I have to like build a sustainable space. And I have to build a model that like keeps everyone fed, right? So I'm reflecting a lot right now. Like, what do I do? How do I change this model? Like, I think that's the thing about cycles. We get stuck in them, and we don't ever like sit still for a minute and figure it out, and adapt, you know. And I'm at a crossroad where I need to decide, like, okay, maybe Hill Street is not just a community center, maybe there's a commerce attached to it, right? Maybe there's a corporation and it's like pulling by the community members and to help me run it. These are all the thoughts that are in my head right now. I think it's okay to like fail. I think failure is where you need to figure out what the problem is and you get to adapt it and find new solutions. And that's why I like art. That's why I love listening to artists talk about their personal message, their process, because it's honest, you know, and it's an honest, them being honest about their problems. And you learn that your problems are not different than theirs, and you realize that you belong in this universe where you're being affected by certain cycles. You know, I think that's the whole purpose for me when it comes to art, that we are all connected, and we have a responsibility to other community practice to change it.
But thank you so much for listening to me.